Hi there. Today we're talking about the Empress ZOIA. But not just the Empress ZOIA, we're going to talk about my patch that I made for it a long time ago called Loop Forest.
Boink.
In honor of 10,000 units sold, Empress is releasing a new limited colorway of the ZOIA, and they reached out and asked if I would be okay with them using my patch Loop Forest as the first patch in the new factory presets, which made me feel really good, so I wanted to do a video revisiting the patch, playing through it, and talking about how it is constructed. Here first is our dry signal, the IntelliGel Cascadia. And now, Loop Forest. As you can hear, there's a lot going on sonically. You can hear a delay and reverb, but most notably you can hear copies of our original sound being spun off into harmonically related loops of different speeds and pitches, seemingly at random. That's because at the heart of Loop Forest are 4 loopers, completely unsynced from each other, all recording and playing back at their own intervals. It works wonderfully for simple melodic material, but also is a blast to get lost in with more noisy or dissonant material. The patch's name comes from its tendency to spin off chirping, cycling bits of audio that resemble birdsong, all in different parts of the stereo field, making you feel immersed in an environment of sound that can be comforting or disconcerting depending on the input. Okay, so now that we've heard Loop Forest, how does it work exactly? Loop Forest is laid out in a series of 5 pages: the input-output page, 4 loopers, and a VCA mix page. The first page has pedal input and output in stereo with a gain control for the output. There's a hall reverb, fed by the output of a ping pong delay. This delay is fed by the output of 4 stereo VCAs on the last page, which we will get to in a bit. The delay feeds into the reverb and then into the pedal output here. Here's one of our loopers. It receives input directly from the pedal input. The record for the looper is toggled on and off by a square wave LFO here. When the LFO goes high to 1, it triggers the looper to record and stays recording while the LFO output is high. The LFO speed is not clocked, though it could be, and it's currently set to around 7 seconds. Each looper has its own somewhat arbitrary timing for record and play. When looping is done, it automatically switches to play and starts playing back what it recorded. This particular looper is set to play back at 100% speed, which is the normal speed and pitch it recorded at, and the start position of our loop is being modulated by another LFO right here. The looper's audio out is connected to a panner, and this panner has its own LFO, which is modulating its place over time in the stereo field. The audio output of our panner feeds the stereo input of a VCA with a dedicated gain control for each looper on the last page. All of these output in stereo to our delay on the first page, which again goes to our reverb and then out to our ears. The trick with this patch is that not every looper is set up exactly the same. Each one has its own timing for recording, playback, start position, and panning, and some of them have an LFO toggling the reverse function of the looper over time. Finally, each looper after the first has its playback speed set to something more than 100%, but at a value that produces harmonically consonant relationships with the original sound. A looper playing back at 150% will create a loop that plays a perfect fifth above the original sound, 200% is an octave above, and 400% is multiple octaves above. Those octave-shifted loops are what give Loop Forest its soul, a feeling of conversation between original sound and new versions of it, a shifting reinterpretation of what you feed into it, not related to any tempo or discernible timing. One funny thing is, as somebody who barely plays guitar, I've actually never tried guitar through this patch on this guitar pedal, so I decided to give it a try with the Osmos to see how it felt. Loop Forest will always have a special place in my heart as a simple idea that worked out and still makes me happy to this day. It's not quite a happy accident, but more a piece of art. I didn't really know what I was doing when I produced it, but ended up turning out to be like one of my favorite paintings. Thank you to Empress for reaching out and making my day by putting this in the new factory firmware. I hope that if you have a ZOIA, you check it out, and all the other amazing patches on Patch Storage. That's it from me today. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Jeremy. This is Red Means Recording, and I hope you have a wonderful day.